Hello and good evening. Welcome to News Talk, ladies and gentlemen, coming to you as usual from the great state of Texas. Precisely, Houston, Texas. Is a privilege to come to you tonight with what is going on, especially where we call the Federal Republic of Ambazonia. Of course, I'm going to be bringing you subjects that relate to other countries, especially as concerns or related to the Ambazonia struggle for independence actualization. That is what I come here tonight to do. Again, I'd like to welcome all of you who are tuning in from across the continent of Africa, Europe, the Middle East, North and South America, of course, Canada included. Thank you for tuning in. Please, as usual, do me the favor, go ahead, hit your share button. Let's invite everybody out there to join the broadcast. Let them know the anchor man is live. This promises to be a very, very exciting broadcast tonight. Yesterday, we'll learn of the news, the possibility of Donald Trump endorsing the independence of Somaliland within the years that he will have to govern from the White House. That is within 4 years. Whenever that happens, we don't know, but it's kind of reassuring, very, very reassuring, especially considering that Somaliland has been ruling itself since 1991. You can count the years since 1991. That has never been recognized by any country as an independent country from Somalia. Finally, it is about to happen, and we can only hope that we all understand what this may mean to the struggle for Ambazonia's independence actualization. And we'll also be talking about the kidnapping of this colonial officer in Edabato in Indian County in the southern Cameroons. The government of Cameroon has essentially neglected the family and the fate of this man into the hands of Nigerian pirates. I'm going to be bringing you the latest updates as far as that issue is concerned. Please, again, do me the favor, stay put and continue to hit your share button. I'll be right back.
Has been after them to pay taxes to the state of Cameroon. And the Cameroon government has firmly responded through Southwest Governor Bernardo Kaliabilai.
Prohibition of all commercial and maritime activities in the zone. Stop to all fishing and sale of catch fish in the fishery in the zone. In all the homes, all the fishing, Mr. SDO, colonels are closed. Close all the shops and bars, all the churches. Prohibition of public manifestations before that notice. No exit, no entry in this zone illegal. No boat should take the sea.
This means that
All right, ladies and gentlemen, talking about backing without biting. That was Colonial Governor Bernard Okalia in Idabato community, where one of their colonial administrators was kidnapped by, allegedly, by Nigerian pirates. And as I come to you today, the situation is not getting better. It is rumored that the man was killed by virtue of the images that are circulating out there on social media. And the thing is, Bernard Okalia, the colonial governor, visited the community and gave the pirates a 72 hours ultimatum. And he decreed that if they do not return their administrator within those 72 hours, he was going to shut down that community. It is now about 2 months and counting, I believe, since that ultimatum. Nothing has been heard from Bernard Okalia. Nothing has been heard from the enlarged government of La République du Cameroon, whose servant Roland Aan was. Nothing has been heard. Now the frustration is getting so much, just so much, that the family of Roland Aan, the colonial officer for Idabado, is now speaking up and complaining that all they have told them is that they should pray. They should pray. That is a message that is going to the families from the governor's office, colonial governor's office in Boya, and from the prime minister's office in Yaoundé, La République du Cameroon's capital. This will constitute the subject of my talking point for tonight. And please stay put, as I will be right back in the next second to bring you that talking point. Do not go away. I'll be right back.
ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com. ABS can help you reach your target audience like never before. Advertising on ABS, you'll benefit from our extensive reach and dedicated viewership. We offer special advertising packages during primetime slots and popular shows. You'll also be featured on our social media platforms, reaching an even wider audience. Don't miss out on this opportunity. Take your business to the next level. Contact our advertising team at absafricativ@gmail.com.
All right, ladies and gentlemen, at this moment, I will bring you my monologue for tonight on the subject of the abduction of Roland Aan and the way that the government of La République du Cameroon has treated the incident so far. I will be joined right after my monologue with my panel to discuss this subject before we move on. The tragic abduction and apparent death of Roland Aan, local government administrator of Idabato in Indian County, raises profound questions about the nature of governance, justice, and equity within La République du Cameroon. While the kidnapping itself is a grievous act that underscores the volatility in the region, the Cameroonian government's response, or lack thereof, reveals deeper systemic issues that continue to plague the relationship between the French-speaking majority and the annexed and marginalized Southern Cameroonian minority. The silence surrounding Aan's fate is a glaring reminder of why Ambazonia has resisted integration into La République du Cameroon for decades. The anguish of Aan's wife, desperately seeking answers about her husband's fate, paints a stark picture of the Cameroonian state's apathy. Despite social media circulating images that purportedly depict Ewane as lifeless. Officials from Governor Bernard Okalia to the Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute have offered little more than platitudes. Ewane's wife has been told repeatedly to pray harder, an insulting passive response from those entrusted with the responsibility to act. The family's frustration is mirrored by growing public discontent as political parties like Maurice Kamto's Cameroon Renaissance Movement, CRM, call out the government for its dereliction of duty. Kamto's press release castigates the administration for its silence and highlights the bravery of civil servants like Ewane, who work under perilous conditions. Yet, even Kamto stopped short of addressing the elephant in the room. Ewane's plight has been ignored because he is Ambazonia. The stark disparity in governmental responses between Francophone and Southern Cameroonian victims is undeniable. Ewane's case is not an isolated incident, but part of a long history of systemic neglect. When prominent Francophone figures have been abducted or attacked, the government of La République du Cameroun has mobilized significant resources, sometimes even negotiating with groups it popularly deems terrorists. For instance, when Boko Haram abducted relatives of a Cameroonian minister, reports indicate that La République du Cameroun paid a ransom to secure their release. In stark contrast, the Ambazonian identity of Ewane has relegated his case to the margins, with officials invoking their refusal to negotiate with terrorists as an excuse for inaction. If Bernard Okalia Bilal himself had been the one abducted, the response would have been vastly different. The military might of the state would have descended on Idabato, with homes touched and entire communities displaced in retaliation. But for Ewane, a Southern Cameroonian, an Ambazonian, the government's silence speaks volumes about the systemic iniquities that have fueled the Ambazonian struggle for 8 years and counting. The neglect shown in Ewane's case is emblematic of why Southern Cameroonians have long resisted integration into La République du Cameroun. The ongoing war in Ambazonia is not merely about independence. It is about survival and the rejection of a system that devalues Southern Cameroonian lives. The marginalization of Ambazonians in governance, in resource allocation, and justice has created a deep chasm of mistrust. Ewane's abduction, ostensibly due to tax enforcement against Nigerian fishing communities in Edabato, illustrates how Southern Cameroonians are often placed in harm's way to serve the state's interests. Taxation policies imposed without consultation or sensitivity to local realities exacerbate tensions in regions already grappling with conflict and economic hardship. The state's failure to protect its own representative from the backlash of these policies further underscores, ladies and gentlemen, its disregard for Southern Cameroonian welfare. Governor Okalia Bilal's handling of the situation has drawn widespread criticism, and rightfully so. His initial threats following the abduction were incendiary, yet his failure to follow through with meaningful action reflects a broader crisis of leadership. The 72-hour ultimatum he issued has long since expired, And the governor has not yet only failed to deliver on his promises, but has also avoided accountability. His silence following the release of images suggesting Iwana's death is a betrayal of the public trust and an indictment of the state's priorities. Minister of Territorial Administration Paul Atanganji and Prime Minister Joseph Dion Ngute have similarly failed to rise to the occasion. Their dismissive attitudes towards Iwana's family demonstrate a callousness that is all too familiar to Southern Cameroonians. These leaders, both of Southern Cameroonian origin themselves, are seen by many as complicit in perpetuating the system of oppression they should be working to dismantle. Maurice Kamto's condemnation of the government's inaction is a welcome intervention, but it is insufficient. While Kamto rightly criticizes the state for neglecting Iwane, he stops short of acknowledging the systemic discrimination that underpins this neglect. His reluctance to explicitly address the Ambazonian dimension of the crisis reflects the broader unwillingness of Francophone political elites to confront the root causes of the conflict. This omission weakens his critique and perpetuates the narrative that Southern Cameroonians are less deserving of justice and of protection. The plight of Sub-Prefect or Divisional Officer Roland Aan should serve as a wake-up call, not just to the government of La République du Cameroon, but also to the international community. The ongoing war in Ambazonia is not merely a political conflict, it is a humanitarian crisis rooted in decades of systemic injustice. The Iwane's case highlights the urgent need for a comprehensive resolution that addresses the grievances of Southern Cameroonians and ensures equal protection under the law. For Ambazonians, Iwane's story is yet another reminder, ladies and gentlemen, of why the struggle for independence is important. It underscores the futility of expecting justice within a system that fundamentally devalues Ambazonian lives. As the government continues to prioritize its Francophone majority at the expense of Southern Cameroonian citizens, the call for self-determination grows ever louder. For those who sit on the fence, hoping that Cameroon will one day change, Iwane's story should serve as a sobering reminder of the realities faced by Ambazonians. Change will not come from within a system built on iniquity and oppression. It will only come through perseverance, solidarity, and the unwavering pursuit of freedom. Ambazonia must remain steadfast in the struggle, not only for the memory of individuals like Iwane, but for the countless others who have suffered under the weight of systemic injustice. Let this tragedy galvanize the movement, reminding every Ambazonian of the stakes involved and the urgency of the fight for independence. The road may be long, but the destination, a free and just Ambazonia, is worth our sacrifice. That is my talking point to you today, ladies and gentlemen. I will now bring in my guest for tonight. I am being joined by Comrade Dennis Atem, who is joining me somewhere from Europe, I believe. Comrade, it's a pleasure to have you, sir.
Thank you, Chris. I'm happy to be with you and greet all the listeners and Ambazonians who are watching.
Thank you. And thank you. I'm also being joined by the Honorable Chris Ajua, who is joining me from Maryland. Good to have you, sir. Chris Ajua is the Vice Chair of Ambazonia Restoration Council. Great to have you, sir. Your audio, I think your microphone is not on. While you adjust your microphone, I think Patrick is also joining from Indiana. Good to have you, sir.
Thank you so much, Comrade Chris, and welcome to all the panelists. And we are always happy to come up and speak to the Ambazonian people.
All right. Thank you for joining the broadcast. Again, I'd like to take you guys to the story of this gentleman that you all find on the screen, Roland Aan. Roland Aan, I mean, the two images you find there, those are images of one and the same person. The face you see here is a face that is hanging on that bar. That is the same person hanging over there, as you can see. He was abducted, I think, about over a month ago, more than a month, close to 2 months ago, we are told, by Nigerian pirates in the island of Bakassi Peninsula, precisely in the community called Idabato. He was serving the interests of La République du Cameroon in that community as administrator. He was picked up, and since the abductees have been demanding tons of money and the release of their compatriots picked up and locked up, we learn, in the Boya. Bernard Okalie, the governor out there in Boya, visited the place. And I like to again play get you to listen to what Okalia said when he visited the community, threatening that if this man is not released by his abductors within 72 hours, he said he was going to shut down that entire community. And he said so, of course, with the understanding that that community is made up 90% of Nigerian fishermen. Listen to him.
And maritime activities in the zone. Stop to all fishing and sale of catch fish in the fishery in the zone. I mean, all the homes, all the fishing, Mr. SEO, colonies are closed. Close all the shops and bars, all the churches. Prohibition of public manifestation till further notice. No exit, no entry in this zone any. No one should tell the sea.
This means that Idabato is completely shut down. Is a one Roland? Is the question the Cameroon government is asking the over 50,000 people of Idabato, where 90% are Nigerians. The abduction of the divisional officer for Idabato October 1 and taken to Nigeria by Nigerians is a provocation.
This is an Yeah, man. I didn't hear the door open. I'm so glad you guys not finished those cookies. I don't know what you guys are. Bring those back. What? Bring those back. Yeah, I think so.
South Nursing, you have a call Park 1, please. South, call Park 1.
I am so sorry, ladies and gentlemen. I didn't know that you were not hearing me, and so sorry about that. So sorry about that. But let me take you back to what this. I'm surprised nobody let me know that I was not being heard. But I was talking about an audio message that came out an hour before I came to you live, supposedly or allegedly from the pirates who are holding this man hostage. The pirates, they are heard in communication. The pirates are heard in communication with Iwane. And they are asking him to give them a certain phone number. I believe that phone number is the number of his wife. Iwane gives them the number. And then in the next audio, they are talking to Iwane's wife. And they are asking Iwane, how much have you gathered so far? How much have you put in place for the release of your husband? Now, don't forget, these guys, they had asked for, I think, $100 million. $100 million for the release of Ewane and his collaborator. And so, in the exchange between Ewane's wife and the pirate, Ewane's wife says, so far they have gathered $37,000. $37,000, and the pirates are asking for $100 million. And the woman is about to say, the government is not collaborating. All this effort towards gathering this money is being done between her and her family. The government is not helping, she said. But in trying to say that, the pirate stopped her and said, listen, madam, I have a wife like you. This problem is not about you. This problem is about your government. It's not about you. It's not about your husband. It is about your government. And so they explained to her that your government is the problem. Ewane is not the problem. Your government, they said, is holding our compatriots, our mates in your country, precisely in the Boya Central Prison. But again, this takes me to the point that I made in my monologue, that just imagine, if the person abducted or kidnapped was Bernard Okalia, do you think that town of Idabatu would still be existing 2 months after? La République du Cameroon soldiers would have descended upon that town or village and set it ablaze, destroy it. After all, the people who live there are 90% Nigerians. 90% Nigerians. They would not care to descend upon it and set it ablaze. They wouldn't care. But because Ewane happens to be Ambazonian, Southern Cameroonian, they can sacrifice him for it. Remember the other six Cameroon officials picked up in Indian by, who were told by restoration forces of Ambazonia, which nobody could prove anyways. Where are they today? Nobody knows where they are. Their government abandoned them to their own fate. And if they are still anywhere alive today, nobody knows where they are. Nobody knows where they are. Their own government abandoned them. Think about this. If these administrators were Francophone citizens of La République du Cameroon, do you think they will still be in custody? Absolutely not. We know that the government of Cameroon has paid ransoms to the terrorist group Boko Haram to have their citizens freed from the hands of those guys, and yet they want us to believe we have a policy of not negotiating with terrorists. That is a message they send from there. But again, ladies and gentlemen, if you are Southern Cameroonian, Ambazonian, the essence of this story is to paint to you the reality of the injustice that prevails in that country when it comes to Southern Cameroonians, Ambazonians. And if anything should stir anyone, any Southern Cameroonian, towards determination, perseverance, to making sure that Ambazonia is a reality, it is things like this, situations like this, that should stir everyone up. The wife says, she became so frustrated, she booked an appointment to meet with Bernard Okalia. After the governor threatened, after the government gave an ultimatum, and 2 months after, nothing is heard, she books an appointment to meet with Bernard Okalia. Bernard Okalia agrees to meet with her. She meets with Bernard Okalia, and all that Bernard Okalia says is, Madam, things are tough. Things are tough. You need to pray. You really need to pray. She leaves, try to meet with Paul Atanganji. No way. Paul Atanganji is the interior minister. I hope you know that. He is the interior minister. Paul Atanganji will not meet with her. She books appointment to meet with the prime minister, Dion Ngute. Dion Ngute accepts to meet with her. When she gets to the prime minister office, a junior officer is sent, or a junior official is sent to talk to her, not the prime minister. And all that the junior officer says is, I will, madam, you need to pray harder. These are not my words. These are not my words. These are her words. That's what she said. They told her, madam, you need to pray harder. You really need to pray harder. So, ladies and gentlemen, if you are Ambazonian, Southern Cameroonian, still believing that Cameroon, an indivisible Cameroon, is the only option, please, I beg you today, can these situations be eye-openers to every one of us, citizens of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroons, who want a free and independent country? Comrade Dennis, let me come to you on this subject. I believe you have been following me. I hope your audio is on. Where are the other? I don't see the other panelists here. I don't see the other panelists. And okay, Dennis' attempt seems frozen, and I don't seem to see the audio is on. The microphone is on. And Honorable Chris, if you can swing your camera to be horizontal landscape, please, that will be great. I think Dennis' atom is frozen. I don't see that he is active. That he is still frozen. Dennis, if you can hear me, go ahead and give us your take on this subject, please. Dennis, can you hear me? I don't see your microphone. Your microphone is not turned on. Your microphone is not on. I do not see Patrick. It doesn't appear to be on. Chris Ajua doesn't appear to be on. Whatever the case, I am hoping that the technical issues are solved on your side. The problem doesn't seem to be here at this end. So please try to if Dennis can log out and log back in, I see Chris is trying to reconnect. Do that, please. Do that. So that is a story of the unfortunate fate of these administrator ladies and gentlemen. It is very unfortunate. That is the country that some people want Southern Cameroonians to be part of, and yet we know that we have lived this predicament for the past 60 years. 60 years, that is from 1961. Southern Cameroonians have lived this predicament. When it is not marginalization in terms of infrastructure or development, it is the way our people are treated. I'm sure none of you have forgotten the fact that even today, if you live in Bamenda with no roads, you have to find your way to Yaoundé to chase documents. If you live in the Fru Awa without roads, you still have to find your way by all means to Yaoundé to chase your salary. Can you imagine that? Dennis, I see that you are there, but your volume is not on, please. Your microphone is not on. If possible, log out and log back in. We can't hear you. And Chris Ajua is also not connected. If you guys can log out and log back in, that may help. And Patrick is also not connected. All of you, please log back out and re-log in. Let's see if that works. But again, that is the predicament of Ambazonia, Southern Cameroonians. I ask this question. Just think about it. If Bernard Okalie was the one picked up in Idabato, think about it. If Bernard Okalie was the one picked up in Idabato by these Nigerian pirates, Idabato would be history today, it would have been burnt down to ashes. And Nigerians living in that community, a handful of them slaughtered. If they wouldn't slaughter them, it would only be because they are afraid of what Nigeria can do. But that is it. Let me bring in the Honorable Chris as you are here, who has succeeded to join. I'm sure he's been listening to me. If you can bend down your camera slightly, sir, just bend it down slightly. Awesome. I'm sure you've been following my monologue here and you've listened to this. And I'm saying, think about it. If this abduction was carried out on Bernard Okalia, the colonial governor in Boya, do you think that town of Idabato would still be standing there in one piece? A lot of people would have descended upon it and burned down the town. But for the fact that Iwane and his collaborator Ambazonians, Southern Cameroonians, they appear to be sacrificed. What is your thought on this?
First, I want to check that you can hear me clearly now.
I can hear you Chris. 5 on 5.
Great. I would also like to thank you. First, you couldn't hear me earlier. I was thanking you and for inviting us to this show, and also for our panelists who are also participating. Let me start by saying that it is very, very sad for any loss of life, especially loss of innocent life. But we have to understand there's a few things, some of the basics. Number one, the annexation of Ambazonia is illegal. In this particular situation, as in many others, French Cameroon is using our people to justify their illegal annexation and occupation of our territories. That is something that needs to be understood first. They are using our people to justify illegal activities. Ambazonian lives don't matter to them. Recall also, let's back up a little bit. Recall when the Nera 10 were illegally abducted from Nigeria, stripped of their human rights, citizenship, and other privileges that come with their places of residence, took them to Yaoundé and placed them in dungeons, in some cases incommunicado, just as some of our prisoners. You did mention that the La République, French Cameroon, has paid a ransom in the past to terrorist groups like Boko Haram. Why could La République du Cameroon not negotiate with Nigeria, with the government, and have the Nigerian government on their side handle their terrorists that have abducted Ambazonians? Why did they not do that? It is the same Nigerian government that connived and took had our people adopted and taken to Yaoundé. Correct. So it is a little bit. It would sound really strange to me, and probably on something that you cannot understand. Why Nigeria would even help them to take to release an Ambazonian, when in reality in the past they had helped to have Ambazonians abducted, or the Nigerian government was not capable of handling terrorists in their own territories, just like they are not able to handle territories in the northeastern part of Nigeria, Boko Haram and other groups. They are also not able to handle the ones that are functioning within the Bakassi Peninsula area, which is Ambazonian territory. We see also the inaptitude or inept attitude of French Cameroon, not being able to save somebody that, according to them, is their citizen. No effort other than backing without biting. So these are things that we need to we need to consider. We should also consider this should be a very good lesson to Ambazonians, certain Cameroonians, Ambazonians who are in French Cameroon government, whether they are members of the in the executive branch or in the legislature. They should think very carefully about what could happen to them. Know that La République du Cameroon will simply just use them and dump them, just as it happened in this case of Mr. Ewane, who was abducted by the Nigerian terrorists.
Right. Let me get to Dennis on this subject. I'm glad he is able to reconnect. Dennis, it is very obvious to me that the only reason why La République du Cameroon forces have not invaded Idabato is because they are afraid of going after Nigerian citizens, and they are prepared to sacrifice their own administrator. Thank God he is an Ambazonian. In their minds, they can let him go than encroach on anything that will cause conflict between them and Nigeria. Am I wrong here?
No, Chris, I think that is very right. The Francophone attitude of backing and threatening and doing all those their stupidities that they do with us, they have done it with Nigerians and they have seen the consequence. So I hope that they will change their attitude and try to negotiate these things in a reasonable way instead of going with threats and all those threatening to burn the place or do whatever, shut down the place, given 72 hours and so on. It is very unfortunate for those Ambazonians who have decided that their fate must be decided only by La République du Cameroon. It is impossible for any southern Cameroonian to be protected by La République du Cameroon. And the fate of Roland Aan is a typical example that every Ambazonian who sacrifices himself working for Francophones, trying to please their Francophone bosses, trying to please the government is wasting his time, is in fact actually putting his life at a risk. So no Ambazonian should sacrifice himself working for that damn regime. No way, because they are just using you to let you go at the first opportunity when danger is on your way. So I think this should be a big lesson for our people. It should be a big lesson for our people. As you rightly said, if this was Okala Bilai who was kidnapped, it would be a very different story today. Probably we should not even go up to Okala. It should be somebody lower than that who is a Francophone. They will do everything to try to release him. But as far as the person is Ambazonia, it's a foregone conclusion that it's not worth the trouble sacrificing anything by their government for. So let Ambazonians learn their lesson from this. If they don't want to learn, fine. They will continue to suffer until the day it dawns on them that La République du Cameroon cannot protect them. It is not their government. It is a terrorist country inside Ambazonia. There is no greater terrorist than La République du Cameroon. So let them stop calling other people terrorists. They are the worst terrorists that we have seen.
Absolutely. Let me get to Patrick. Patrick, I'm sure you also listened to my monologue there. You heard the wife. The wife is speaking to the pirates who abducted the husband, and they are saying, the problem is not your husband. The problem is not you. I have a wife, the pirate said. I have a wife like you. The problem is with your government. Your government is having in prison our comrades, our collaborators in Boya Central Prison, and they want the Cameroon government to release them. You would think that even if they would not give them money, they will say, okay, how about we release their comrades that are in our prison and throw them on the streets so that they can go and they free our administrator. No, that didn't occur. Doesn't even occur to them to do that. The woman is there running helter-skelter from one office to the other, and no help is coming our way. And she said, they asked her, how much have you raised so far? She said 37,000. They said, madam, you are joking. You know how much we asked for, right? Don't you think a sensible government would say, let's free those guys we are having in our custody and try to appease this guy and take back our administrator, Patrick?
Yes, Comrade Chris, is so unfortunate that this poor woman is out there doing the hard labor to try to free her husband. The first thing that I would say here is there is a big possibility that La Republic must have killed their collaborators and
Yeah.
put them all the mass graves that they have in Ambazonia. That's why they cannot even start about talking about releasing those guys. The second part of it is, if you remember, when this war got to the point where La Republic could not withstand the heat in Ambazonia, the only thing they did was to take Ambazonians, the few Ambazonians that are administrators, some of them were not even administrators, and put them in strategic areas that if the Ambazonian restoration fighters want to kill anybody, they should kill their own brothers. That is why they do not care which administrator is killed in Ambazonia, because they know they are all Ambazonians who are there. That was a strategy by La Republique. They do not put their own sons and daughters in that area. They keep their sons and daughters in the political capitals so that they can be given instructions to those young guys or those young administrators to be killed. And the last thing I'm going to say on that part is what you heard from Okala Bilai is exactly what the government of Cameroon have done for so many years. This administrative school called ENAM, what they do, they train these guys there. They never talk to them about peace negotiation or peace building. The only thing they train them is to make them to understand they are the state. They have the right. And these people they are ruling are subject. And they can do whatever they want. They have no clue as to what human rights is. So if you look at and listen to that guy, you should be asking, you as an administrator, you do not have any idea where this guy is. You don't have any clue who is holding this guy. You just talk to them on the phone or whatever. And you are, instead of finding a way to negotiate, you are threatening, saying you will do this. Why did you not do it instead of talking? Why are they not trained to even say we can find a way to create a peaceful environment when things get hot? We are living in the United States where you've seen riots on the streets. You don't never even know when the government is talking to the people who are organizing these riots. They sit in the back, have discussion before you know it. The leaders of that group come out and tell their people that this is what has been agreed on, and the people, there's peace coming back into the community. But these guys from Enam, they know they are the state. They are like lords. Nobody can challenge their authority. They are going to shut down that part of the country. They should be ashamed of themselves because they lack basic negotiating skills. They lack basic understanding of leading people. They think they are ruling people. So it's so shameful that some Ambazonians still think these people are their colleagues. They are not. They are using them like tools. They are using them to carry on the agenda. If tomorrow the international community or the International Court of Justice come in to say we want to judge or prosecute those who were perpetrating this genocide on Ambazonia, Atanganji will be the lead person. He is the territorial administration minister. He is the one giving orders to these governors. So he should be thinking in his brain, why did they give me this position only when the war was going on? Why is it that they have never given that position to any Ambazonian? These guys in Yaoundé think they are smart, but they should understand that Amazonia is here to stay, and there is no way we can go back. They can use all the Ambazonians who are in their government as tools, but this we do not even consider them as they might be our brothers,
but because they have taken the wrong path, we have not even seen a single administrator who has abandoned his post of responsibility and said, I'm leaving this country or I'm getting somewhere safe because I cannot, with good conscience, be ordering or giving orders for the military to be killing my own people.
Let me go back to Chris Ajuode. He is the chair of the Restoration Council of Ambazonia. Comrade Chris, if I may ask you, we have so many people who are seated by the fence in this struggle for Ambazonia independence actualization. We have seen this scene play out again and again and again. You will remember the Mami Apis, the Kumba school incident, the Bali massacre, the Pinyin massacre, the Garibu massacre. I mean, we can name and name and name and name. And yet, very many Ambazonians out there think that let's just forget, let's just talk to a lot of public do Cameroon. In fact, some have asked us to make a proposal. A proposal. We should make a proposal that is to show how desperate we are to live with them. What would you say to those who think that we are wasting our time, even with clear evidence such as this? Chris?
Yes, thank you, Comrade Chris. First, let me back up a little bit on something that our comrade Patrick mentioned: the ineptitude of French Cameroon to negotiate, and also follow that up with this question: where does Okalia Bilai live? Where does he live?
Yeah.
He's supposed to be the governor, right? But he doesn't live where he's supposed to live because he's trying to protect himself, protect his life. But he puts others, in this particular case, Ambazonians, in harm's way. Why taking cover in protecting himself in another location, in another city? That shows you again how they disregard they have for Ambazonian lives. Ambazonian lives really mean nothing to them. Now, coming to the question of the responsibility that Ambazonians within French Cameroon, whether in the government or ordinary citizens, should take. Well, as Ambazonians, we are not going to disregard or think that our citizens, regardless of where they are in the world, are not important. But every Ambazonian should know that freedom, when we are fighting for our freedom, to free our country, to get back our sovereignty, it is not the task is not for just a certain individuals. This should be a task for everybody. Everybody should chip in. And I'm sorry to say this, but for those that are out there, and some of them use words like that one, I think,
Yeah.
when the right time comes, I think they should, everybody should pay their share for what I would call the liberty, the liberty tax. Everybody should pay a liberty tax, and that will take us to the records. Remember also that we will not be the first people in the world to do something like that. The Eritreans did it when they were fighting for their freedom, and people were not contributing. When the country became free, those that have been sitting on the fences were made to pay. And I think it will be just or be justified for Ambazonians to follow that approach. So those that are sitting on the fence and just watching, let them also know that even though they may feel I don't know, a temporary that is safe, but that safety is just temporary. La Republic can do anything to them. If something happens that forces them as an emergency to vacate French Cameroon, where are they going to run to? They will be running to Ambazonia. So let them think about that. Thank you.
All right, all right.
I'll be right
Thank
back.
you. Let me get back to Dennis for the last word on this subject. What would you be doing, Dennis, to bring freedom to this man if you were Ambazonian governor in Boya?
Comrade Chris, the most important thing, you already said it. You are threatening people when you have no means to carry out your threats. The
Yeah.
best situation would have been to negotiate. You see, whether you are doing it secretly or publicly, it doesn't matter, but to show that you have concern, to show that you don't want them to hurt the administrator, to show that you're willing to exchange prisoners. This is what happens in war, isn't it? There's always an exchange of prisoners. So why can't you negotiate with these people to say, okay, we have understood that you have arrested our person. We want to talk to your leaders. We want to know why you arrested him and to see what we can do. Even if they don't pay any ransom, they can say, okay, you have kidnapped our governor, our divisional officer, because you say your colleagues are imprisoned in Boya. Can we do an exchange? That is it. We can do like that and come out with a situation where lives are saved on both sides. Instead of going there to threaten, impose your so-called authority, wear this your scrap things and think that you will intimidate anybody there. You're just wasting your time. I think he has. He will be a humble person today after all those his threats, which have come to nothing, and probably the DO has been killed. I think he will be a little bit wiser. He has made so many threats like that inside Ambazonia that were ignored, and he didn't learn his lesson. I hope he learns his lesson this time. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I will take a brief break out, and when I come back, we will change the subject to discussing the promise, I should say, of Donald Trump to formally acknowledge the Republic of Somaliland as an independent country, far away from the 30 years, I think 31 years, that country has lived as an independent country. Please stay put. I will be right back. all right. Thanks for staying put out there, ladies and gentlemen. The news broke yesterday of plans by President-elect Donald Trump to formally recognize the independence of the Republic of Somaliland. And if you will all recall, Somaliland has been self-ruling since 1991, calculated from 1991 up to date. They have conducted, I think, 6 presidential democratic elections, hitch-free, no allegations of fraud or anything. In fact, they have done a great job governing themselves. I had the opportunity to go there a few years ago to visit with some members of their government and to see what obtains in that place. And I couldn't believe the resilience of the people in Somaliland. The Somalilanders had fought a civil war with Somalia. But when Somalia was confronted with an insurgent in that country, what Somaliland basically did was to cut off, declare its independence. They fought for a few months, and the Somali troops withdrew, and Somaliland basically took over its territory. And for 31 years, no other country, however, agreed to recognize Somaliland as an independent country because of threats from Somalia. Somalia has stated unequivocally they are not going to let Somaliland go. Even when Somaliland is long gone, Somalia continue to constitute an obstacle. And you would think that Somalia, considered a rogue nation with all these terrorist groups and insurgencies within the country, that all these international community, we easily recognize that Somaliland has been more stable than Somalia and then recognize the independence of Somaliland. No, nothing has happened. Only a few months ago, when Ethiopia reached an agreement to use the port of Somaliland for trade, the world, Somalia, and the rest of the world went amok to say, "Oh, Ethiopia, you cannot do that." Ethiopia did that on the promise of recognizing the independence of Somaliland. Kenya, another neighbor of Somaliland, has been promising over the years that they are going to acknowledge the independence of Somaliland. Ladies and gentlemen, Kenya hasn't done that. Kenya is one of the closest trade nations to Somaliland after Ethiopia. If you are a Somalilander, if you have to travel out of the country, you have to use either Ethiopian passport or Kenyan passport. That is the only way they can travel out. So, for 31 years, this country has self-ruled itself, but refused recognition. This is important because I like Ambazonians to understand this. I have heard talks like, "Oh, why can't you get just one country to recognize Ambazonia? You people have been fighting for all these 8 years. Why not talk to China? Why not talk to Russia? Why not get even some of the African countries, maybe Liberia, maybe Sierra Leone, maybe Nigeria, maybe Kenya, Libya. Why can't you just get one of these countries to just recognize Ambazonia?" I have heard this again and again and again and again throughout the course of this Ambazonian struggle. And I say to our people, you don't understand. You don't understand. These countries you are talking about, they are subservient to what you call the Great Five. The USA, China, England, France, Russia. Again, they are the USA, Great Britain, the French, Chinese, and the Russians. These are the 5 countries that rule the world, and every other smaller country around the globe, they are subservient to this country. In other words, all their development grants, their loans, they are all coming from these countries. If Congo should apply for a loan with the World Bank and America says, don't give them the loan. You know the World Bank will not give Congo or any other country in that place the loan because America will add. So please, we should forget this illusion that one country can just emerge and recognize Ambazonia when Somaliland has been there for 31 years and not recognized, not even by the successive regimes in the United States and in Great Britain. None. But observe something. If the promise of Donald Trump to get Somaliland recognized should go through, I bet you watch it within the same month or 2 months or 3 months, you will see the barrage of other nations, especially in Africa, recognizing the independence of Somaliland. That is just the way the world works. That is just the way the world works. It's always about interest. And America is not going to recognize Somaliland because of the people, the suffering people of Somaliland. No, they will do that because of the Gulf of Aden. The Gulf of Aden. In fact, America has entered into a treaty, I think it was under Trump initially. Yeah, I think it was under Trump, to build the largest military port in Somaliland. So, let me read this story that came out yesterday. Let's get the background to what is happening. Donald Trump, following his re-election as U.S. president, is reportedly set to formally recognize Somaliland as an independent state. This information surfaced after discussions between Trump and Gavin Williamson, a former United Kingdom defense minister and strong advocate for Somaliland's recognition. Somaliland, which declared independence from Somalia in 1991, operates with its own government and institutions, but has struggled for international recognition despite widespread domestic support. Williamson, the British former defense minister, claims Trump is sympathetic to the cause of Somaliland, viewing recognition as a means to bolster stability and counter Chinese and Russian influence in the Horn of Africa. Somaliland's strategic position along the Gulf of Aden, its democratic governance, and its cooperative stance with Western interests make it an appealing ally for the USA. Trump's America First policies may drive such decisions to serve broader geopolitical interests, such as challenging China's birth and road initiative in Africa. This potential recognition could be historic, reshaping regional dynamics and encouraging international partnership for Somaliland. However, it risks exacerbating tensions with Somalia, which opposes Somaliland's independence and could draw criticism from other African states wary of altered borders. Now, when you talk about drawing criticism from other African states, wary of what the alteration of borders. This will only happen. This will only happen because Somalia goes to the AU and bribe those so-called heads of states to say, you cannot sit here in America, come to dictate to us. Why, do you know why no African state has recognized Somaliland? Because that is the way they operate. If people ask, why can one African state not recognize Ambazonia? Because Paul Biya is putting money in their pockets. Until we get one major power, it could be the Chinese, it could be the Russians, could be the British, could be the French, could be the Americans, until we get one of these nations saying, we think Ambazonia deserves its freedom, it deserves its independence. It's never been part of La République du Cameroon. Until such a leader emerges, please stop dreaming of the idea of some other country recognizing Ambazonia, because every other country depends on these five for survival, for their loans, for their development grants, and so on. So they will not do anything that will go against or cross the interests of any of the five. But there is hope, I believe, emerging from this for Ambazonia. It tells us, ladies and gentlemen, if we persevere, one day, we may have a Donald Trump, we may have whoever, maybe Muammar Gaddafi, a Fidel Castro, who rises up and says, the people of Ambazonia deserve their own freedom. So, this is a moment for Ambazonia to realize that freedom may be hard to come, but it comes anyways at the end of the day. 31 years for Somaliland. We can make it too. We can do it too. But the only way we do that is for the bulk, the population of Ambazonia dotted all over the place in the Middle East, in Europe, in South and North America, and Canada included. It is when Ambazonians rise up and realize there is no way we can lose the war, and put their money where their mouth belongs. Your mouths belong to Ambazonia. We must realize that. Freedom doesn't come easily, but it must come, and it will come in the case of Ambazonia. I am pleading, listen to me, I am pleading to every one of you listening to the sound of my voice out there. We are not going to defeat Cameroon with our bare hands. We are not going to beat Cameroon with our bare hands. We have to beat them on the ground and beat them at the diplomatic level too. These two fronts, ground front and the diplomatic level. Right now, we are looking forward to employing the services of a lobbyist to help work with us navigate the diplomatic barriers across the globe. We are looking forward to every Ambazonian to chip in something. Let us make sure that this lobbyist is able to do the work we want to see done right here in the diaspora. That is my appeal. Let me say to you, comrades, we all come and go. We will all come and go. Tomorrow, Chris Anubu will not be here. But listen, when I am not here, I want to live here knowing that I did the best, I did my part, I played my role. And if you sit out there and thinking that they are wasting their time, well, when history is written, imagine where your name will appear. Let me bring back my panel to discuss this subject. Comrade Dennis, if you are still there, let me start with you. I know you are a great historian here. Can you centralize yourself in camera, please? Just centralize yourself, your image in the camera. No, to the other side. Yes, good. So please, I'd like your take on what is happening in Somaliland. This is a great promise for Ambazonia that though freedom tarries, it certainly comes.
Comrade Chris, I think the news is great news for everybody, not just for Ambazonia. You know, go and read the United Nations Charter. They tell you the one peace, they tell you the one every country to respect its borders and independence. They tell you all kinds of things. But come and look at the practice and see how much chaos, instability, and confusion they saw in practice when, for political reasons, they refuse to follow those good principles that they have laid down to ensure peace in the world. Why would, for example, Somalia cling onto Somaliland, pretending that it is part of its territory? Is it not just pretense? The facts are there. The independence of Somaliland and Somalia was not on the same day. They did not live together even for 1 month, but Somalia is clinging onto Somaliland. So I am very happy to hear that promise from Donald Trump. Whatever are the reasons for the recognition of Somaliland, I think that recognition was long overdue. Somaliland deserves to rule itself, not only to rule itself, but to become a sovereign state. It is not begging anything from Somalia. It is not borrowing anything from Somalia. Why should they not live together side by side in peace? Why should it not be like that? So many people are being oppressed by countries that are occupying them, forcing them to belong when they don't want to belong. You see, at the end of the day, you must understand the nature of the human spirit. It is freedom. People who want freedom and are being coerced, being forced to stay, that is just a waste of time. That is just a waste of time. They are just ruining their lives. They are unable to be happy. They are unable to make progress. And the countries that are holding them down to are unable to make progress because they are spending all their energies trying to hold these other people down, just like Cameroon is doing with Ambazonia. People like Camtos, these are colonizers who don't even understand how the human being operates. They believe that using force because I have force is the way to go. This is a turning point for mankind, and Trump might just be one of those who introduces that change in the political sphere by recognizing Somaliland. If Trump recognizes Somaliland, as you said, you will see the number of states that will flock in immediately afterwards to also recognize Somaliland. It is just a taboo that states, because they have a club, they don't want to offend the members of the club. So whatever the member is doing, they will support it and buy it, even though it is causing instability, it is causing conflict, it is bringing the violation of human rights and all those things into the world, which we say we don't want. So I think I appreciate what Trump has done. I hope from there the door will open for many people to realize that there's nothing secret with a state to say that a state must remain the same size forever. It cannot be. Where is the Roman Empire today? Where is the British Empire? Where is the Russian Empire? All of those things have collapsed. And that is the way it will continue to happen. But human beings should stop obstructing the course of nature. Human beings should stop obstructing the course of nature by trying to prevent things that happen. Just like Cameroon is trying to prevent Ambazonia from getting its freedom, Somalia is trying to prevent Somaliland from getting its freedom, and so on and so forth. So Trump should do what he has promised to do, and we appreciate that, and we are glad that someone has emerged who is willing to go against those taboos. Thank you.
Let me get to Comrade Chris Ajua to have his take on this.
Yes, thank you, Comrade Chris. Let's take a look at independence concerning Somaliland and the former British Southern Cameroons, Ambazonia. Ambazonia had a functioning government without even one shot fired when the members of the Southern Cameroons left the House of Assembly in eastern Nigeria in the mid-50s, went to Boya and started a government, a fully functional government without one shot fired. I'm talking a legislature and they had a prime minister, they had their ministers, everything was running smoothly. And then what? On the eve of our independence, on the eve, that was September 30th, 1961. What happened? French Cameroon came and neo-colonized the country, occupied it, annexed it using force, and thinking that they were going to succeed with force. The occupation is illegal, the annexation is illegal. Everything that French Cameroon has done concerning Ambazonia is illegal. at any level, international law or whatever you want to look at it, humanitarian law and etc. So we are not going to remain their slaves forever. The time will definitely come. As I always say, all Ambazonians have to do is persevere and endure. It will happen. Now, I would like to go back now to talk about the Somaliland. Somaliland, people may not know it, but not too long ago, in Guinea, and even there were some events that happened in Wales. Wales is part of the United Kingdom. They were invited. I'm talking in Wales.
Yeah.
Now you already know that the former defense, minister in Britain has a hand in some of the stuff that is happening now. So you can see, therefore, that there are certain things that in life or in history or in nature that human beings can never stop. My hope is that whatever President-elect Trump has promised for Somaliland should materialize, and maybe, just maybe, who knows, Ambazonia may even be saved along those same lines by President-elect Trump and Somaliland. So let's keep our hopes up, and let's keep our diplomatic inroads or endeavors. Let's continue those endeavors and hope for the best. Thank you.
Let me get to Patrick. I hope he gets me. Patrick, I would like your your take on this. Again, 31 years after gaining independence, ruling themselves, one can only read from it that there is always light at the end of the tunnel. Always light at the end of every tunnel. Finally, Somaliland is seeing light. What should Ambazonians learn from this?
Yeah, Comrade Chris and fellow panelists, one thing that we should have learned from the president-elect of the United States is the fact that he is not a traditional, conventional politician. Most of the time when politicians are coming to power, they are already looking at their allies and they're talking about what am I going to defend with my allies so that I can gain something on the other side. Donald Trump speaks what is in his mind. He doesn't go by the political norm or the international order where they say these people are independent and they have to maintain their independence. No, he has that ability to look at Somaliland as one of the few countries in Africa that is peaceful. They've had transition in their administration. Why would the United States not make sure this country is recognized, establish an embassy there so that they can have somebody that if they want to do business in Africa, if they want to establish any military bases or combat piracy in the Gulf of Aden, this is where they are supposed to be. So Donald Trump is doing the right thing to the people of Somaliland. If this comes to reality, then Ambazonia should start reflecting what does it take to gain independence. It's not just about how much you can create enmity with each other. It's about how you set your games with the diplomatic corridors. Somaliland did not just establish an embassy in the United States. They created that connection with the British foreign ministers or British foreign defense people, just talking to them, creating that avenue where if that opportunity comes, somebody's going to speak on their behalf. And that is exactly what Ambazonia is supposed to do. We have millions of Ambazonians here in the United States. And in reality, they have a great opportunity to do a lot for Ambazonia. There are people who have really congressmen or formal diplomats or formal secretary of departments in the United States who live in their neighborhood, but they have never taken that opportunity, taken the chance to say, let me create some kind of an avenue to communicate with these people, to understand what they are thinking, because you don't never know who is going to hold your hand to the other side of the river. So what is going on in Somaliland is the right thing. Donald Trump is not doing it to please France or to please Britain or any other country. He is doing it because he understands this is going to be an American advantage, an advantage to the United States to have a peaceful nation in Africa. When you look at Nigeria, if Nigeria was creating an economy, a government that was reliable and peaceful with no corruption, that is where the United States will be, because that is a big market for any kind of economy activity. But because of the way Nigeria is playing their games around there, nobody want to do business with them, except you want to be corrupt. But Somaliland, they just had an election. They have demonstrated in so many different ways that they can do the right thing. The corruption in that country is at the lowest level. Even their economy is thriving, but they do not have just that diplomatic recognition. So Ambazonia should be learning from here. And I would say, based on some of the discussions that have happened within this administration, within the Amazonian corridors, with the diplomatic world and the Somali government, if this happens, well, let's just keep our fingers crossed. Ambazonia, we are in a better place to have somebody that can speak on our behalf.
One thing that we must note though is the fact that Somaliland has been essentially independent and ruling itself for the past 30 years, which is something we don't yet have. We don't have a situation where we in Ambazonia, we have our territory, we occupy our territory, we are ruling and making decisions for ourselves, which is like still a long way to go. But Comrade Dennis, and I will pose this question to all of you: what do we learn from the fact that Somaliland, to arrive where they are today, have been able to rule itself for over 31 years? Comrade Dennis, I'll start with you.
It doesn't need to be like that. Just think of all those African countries that were not governing themselves, but at the time of independence were forced now to become to govern themselves. They were only playing subservient roles to the white people who were colonizing them. But when the period came for them to be decolonized, they had to be decolonized. The reality is that a country is like a football team. You see, you go to one country, you see the pattern of play continues, even though all the players that form the first team have left. You see, Nigeria has its own pattern of play, Cameroon has its own, Ghana has its own, and so on. So there is a certain spirit that persists with people. You can see that Ambazonians up to today have not been able to be colonized by La République du Cameroun. La République du Cameroun is only struggling to colonize and annex Ambazonia, but Ambazonians are resisting. So the fact that we had governed ourselves for such a long time before, I think that spirit is still with us, and we are capable of quickly reorganizing ourselves and getting down to work once freedom comes. So we should not think that we need to have governed ourselves for 20 or 30 years before sovereignty or independence will come. No, it doesn't need to be like that. It doesn't need to be like that at all. All that we need is the conscience, the determination, the foresight to how we want to run our own country, and be willing to put the right people in place who will manage our affairs once we have that space of freedom. Now, just imagine that a referendum comes and we gain our independence. The transition period will just be a few years or a few months, and from there we will have to govern ourselves. So it will be like that wherever people look at the issue, the case of East Timor and all these other countries that got their independence through referenda. They did not have to govern themselves for a long period before they actually got independence. Once the transition comes. South Sudan, it was like that. It ruled itself for some time, that is true, but it was not 30 years like the case of Somaliland. So let's be aware that it need not be the case, and that the success of a people to manage themselves depends simply on how clear-minded they are, how determined they are to move their own society forward. Thank you.
Let me get to Honorable Chris. Let me put the question this way to Honorable Chris and maybe to Patrick too. What do you think will be going on in the minds of the colonialists in La République du Cameroun as they see what Donald Trump may do in Somaliland? What do you think is going through their minds at this moment? Donald Trump is somebody who is so unconventional. He is not the kind of politician who make deals like the traditional politicians, Republicans and Democrats that we know of the past. Not the Bidens, not the Obamas, not the Bushes, not the Clintons, and so on. He is just his own man, and he will do what he says he will do. And you can't stop him. What do you think is going on in the minds of administrators in La République du Cameroun considering this news about Trump and Somaliland?
I will thank you, Comrade Chris. I will combine my answer with something from the previous statement that we were making about having to do with certain qualities that a country should have when they are looking for independence. I can tell you right away that Ambazonia has gone through what some people would call baptism by fire. They have gone through a lot. They have learned a lot from each other, from their troubles, from their travail. They have gone through a lot. And I think Ambazonians have learned a lot about there is probably no Ambazonian now who can read and write, who cannot talk to you about the Constitution, the rule of law, who cannot talk to you about human rights and things like that, who cannot talk to you about genocide, who cannot talk to you about war crimes, things like that. Those are great lessons that Ambazonians have already learned. And I think with a functioning government, Ambazonia will be one of the best countries in the whole world, because they will put into practice what they have been preaching all throughout their struggle since 1961. Now, let me go back to what you said about what La République French Cameroon is thinking now with what President-elect Trump is going to do. I can tell you that it's very good news for Somaliland, but when La République de Cameroon, French Cameroon, hears that kind of message, get that kind of message or that kind of news, it's a nightmare to them. It's really a nightmare. Many of them now will be losing sleep. They will be saying stuff like, President-elect Trump, or when he becomes president again in January 2025, what is next? What is he going to do next? Suppose he comes up, we wake up one morning and he is on TV telling the world that he has studied the Ambazonian situation for the past 63 or 64 years, and he has come to the conclusion that Ambazonia should regain its sovereignty and its territory its full independence that was abruptly disrupted by very illegal means. That is going to be like what you can call a diplomatic, a geopolitical earthquake for the world and for the entire United Nations, including even the Security Council, as you were saying, the 5 members. Of course, their main partners, like France and Britain, will be aware of something like that happening. But it's going to be a big problem for La République. In that case, as far as the Ambazonian problem is concerned, La République is finished. They are wiped out, totally wiped out. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. Let me get to Patrick and get your take on this. You know, Patrick, everybody knows that Donald Trump is his own man. He is not the kind of politician you can send lobbyists to him to bribe him or twist his mind on what he wants to do. He does what he says he wants to do. And Cameroon will not be happy. They will find a roadblock here. The days of Biden are over. Remember when we were all protesting, why is the Biden administration inviting Paul Biya to Washington, D.C.? You will remember that. And they went ahead and invited him anyways. And there was even a moment the Biden administration was thinking of uplifting sanctions placed on Cameroon by Donald Trump. At a certain moment in the in the Biden administration, until we all protested and they let the sanctions stay. Now it still doesn't look good with the second coming of Donald Trump. What do you see in the minds of Cameroon diplomats, leaders, the Atangajis, the Dion Gutes, the Paul Biya, the Ngongo, and the rest? The Emmanuel Sadis. What do you think would be the strategy in their minds at this moment to make sure that they prevent Donald Trump from having to listen to Ambazonians?
Well, Comrade Chris, thinking about what is going on in the minds of these guys in Yaoundé, sometimes you just have to laugh because I think we mentioned something about this administrative institution called ENAM. Most of these guys who are there went through ENAM, and to them, they think they are gods. They don't even see themselves like people that anybody from any part of the world can get up and say, no, this is not right. That is what dictatorial administration look at themselves until things start happening before they start questioning their own ability to even hold their own power. If you look at a country like Iraq, when the United States was going into Iraq, Saddam Hussein did not see himself like anybody could ever tamper with him until it happened. He was hiding in a small hole. It's the same thing that La République, most of these administrators, they see themselves like nobody can ever jump into Cameroon. Nobody can get there. You listen to one of their journalists or commentator who came up one time and even said the U.S. ambassador in Cameroon will be living in a casket, living Cameroon in a casket. But unfortunately, we are at a point where we will see something changing within the Cameroonian administration when it comes to Ambazonia. They are not going to be able to use lobbyists within the Trump administration because like I said, diplomacy works behind the scene. One thing that people did not see was the fact that when Trump was in power, he made so many drastic changes when it comes to some of these African wars. And Ambazonia, Cameroon was one of the countries that he had mentioned during his United Nations speech. And he even stopped the president of Cameroon from coming to the White House after the United Nations speech, like they always invite other leaders to visit them. But the part that is really going to shake Cameroon is the fact that the number of Cameroonians that have come through this Darien Gap, this jungle to get to the United States, and has created an atmosphere where the Biden administration had to put Cameroon on a temporary protective service, where they call a TPS. The Trump administration is going to question it and ask, why did they put these people on this program? And they will get an explanation what is going on there. And they will look at most of these files and say, okay, there is something going on here that needs to be dealt with. So the people in Yaoundé, as much as they have those stone-hearted minds and they are ignorant about the power of diplomacy and the power of negotiation, they are shaking. Most of those who understand the implication of their actions are shaking as we speak. Some of them already have maybe their one-way tickets out of that country. Some of them have they know things are about to be shaken in that territory. Even the elections coming up in Cameroon will be watched very closely by the world because they know the age of the president of that country. They are going to watch exactly what is going on there. The U.S. Embassy in Cameroon will be giving clear pictures to the Trump administration about what is happening. And in reality, if you look at when Blinken, when he was coming as a U.S. ambassador, he spoke about Cameroon, that was something that he was going to be looking into. When the ambassador, who is in Cameroon today, was being grilled by the Senate, he also mentioned the war in Cameroon. But we know what Cameroon does when it comes to trying to please people, make people forget, turn their backs on certain things. And I believe Blinken has not been able to talk about Cameroon because of the pressing issue in Israel and from Ukraine. So Cameroon should be ready because there is fire on the mountain. They've been hiding, they've been running around, they've been doing everything to suppress the Ambazonia revolution or thinking they want to tell the world there's nothing going on. The report from the United Nations Human Rights Commission, that report will be shared at the United Nations. And with what is going on out there, the guys in Cameroon are shaking as we speak. Most of them understand that because they cannot penetrate and get their way, they don't know what is going to come after them.
Again, I think you are very clear, and we should put lots of emphasis on the opportunity, the window of opportunity that Ambazonia has here. You have in Cameroon an election, an uncertain election that they plan to hold. You also have a transition that you just cannot predict the outcome of it. You have a president who is as good as dead. You have the civil society that is at the brink of a civil war within that country. And you have the Ambazonian picture. So I think, in my opinion, Cameroon will be saying, well, we have so many odds against us, adding to the fact that it is no longer Biden in the White House. It is Donald Trump who declared or passed sanctions on that state before. He is back. My question, though, is how would Ambazonians embrace this opportunity? You have a situation where so many people out there, Ambazonians out there, they have the fatigue element is so much there, and they see the effort that continues to be put by some of us as well. A matter of time until we give up or cave in. Of course, I've said again and again there is no possibility, no chance. We're caving in. If anything, at this moment, Ambazonians, they should be rising up and seeing this 4 years window, including what is happening in La République du Cameroon, their transition, their president, the civil strife that may happen in that country in the course of their transition, so many other things. Comrades, we have a great window of opportunity. We've never had a moment like this. The question is, what are we going to do with it? What would you do with it? My appeal to everyone is, we don't need anything less than money. We need money. We need money, and I will never mince words talking about money for this struggle, because it is the engine that drives the progress that we have made. If somebody had said we would go for 8 years without surrendering or begging Cameroon to negotiate, we would have believed it. Because we walked in here, nobody was prepared for this, and here are we, 8 years and counting, and the 2 cubes of sugar remain very resilient. Please, we can't go this far and turn back and surrender. There are Ambazonians out there who can afford $1,000 each. Just $1,000. Please listen to the sound of my voice. I wish I could sit here and declare how much we pay a lobbyist to work for us in this case. I wish I could do that. Not everything will come and put it here. But if a number of Ambazonians out there will say, Comrade Chris, yes, we too will see the window. We see the opportunity. We see the chance. This is a pivotal moment. Let's not miss this opportunity. I will give you guys $1,000 to make sure that this lobbyist does what we expect him to do. I want to appeal to you, please, and please. There are many of you out there, I know you can do this. Please, give me a call. Send me a message. I will put the phone number on the screen in a few minutes. But this is my appeal to you at this moment. We cannot miss this moment. We know who we are talking to. We know what we are hearing. We see the window of opportunity we have. Only us can fail ourselves. That is my appeal to you. Let me give Comrade Dennis the last word before I open the phone lines and hear what Ambazonians have to say. Oh, I think he's not there. He's frozen, and I think he is gone. But Honorable Chris, you stay put in there. I'm going to open the phone lines and hear from Ambazonians what they have to say, given these 2 subjects that we discussed today. And please remember, when you call, make sure that your television set, the volume of your television set is shut down before you call. If you call when your volume is turned on, I will not be able to take your call, but make sure you turn down your volume before you call. The phone number is there on your screen. And remember, always visit absafricatv.com. absafricatv.com. All the powerful monologues, talking points that I bring to you on television, they are in scripts on the website. But not only that, ABS News website is one of the best place, dependable place for breaking news, not only from Ambazonia, Cameroon, but also including Africa and the rest of the world. That is where you will find daily breaking news from all of Ambazonia, Cameroon, and across the globe. That is why we are hiring freelance reporters across Ambazonia, Cameroon, and Africa. And if you are out there, you are a writer, or maybe a young graduate and you have nothing to do please, you can make some residual income writing, reporting for ABS. Send me a text message on the number you find on your screen and let me know your intentions. If you are capable of writing, don't worry about your ability to write. If you have the facts of the story, your story will be edited to flow with coherence and published. All we need the facts. We need the facts of every story, and you will be allowed to write. So the phone number is there. While we wait for your call, let me get back to Chris Ajua to talk about this window of opportunity that we have. Chris, you are the chairman, the vice chairman of Ambazonia Restoration Council. If this is not an opportunity, a big window, I don't know what it is. In my opinion, I think what we need to take advantage of is making sure that we appeal to our people to support this moment financially. That is the dire thing that we need at this moment. Am I wrong, sir?
No, not at all, Comrade Chris. You are not wrong at all. This opportunity that presents itself to Ambazonians is what I call an opportunity of a lifetime. And like I wrote recently in one of our social media groups, it's always good to strike the iron when it is hot. That iron is hot right now with the election of President-elect Trump. So we have to get to work. We have to do everything possible to have our ideas brought to him. We have to bring the plight of Ambazonia to him and his administration, including, of course, the members of the White House and the Foreign Service. I'm talking about the State Department. We have to work with our lobbies in order to get our message out. As everybody knows, all these things are not cheap. They require money. And that is where we need every Ambazonian, no matter where you live in the world, to chip in. Put your hand deep in your pocket and know that we are fighting for our freedom. And freedom is not, even though freedom is good, it's not cheap. We have to fight for it. A lot of our people have given their lives for it. People have died. Those that were in the war front. We have IDPs, people that have been displaced internally or are refugees in foreign countries, or some are escaping the carnage that is happening in Ambazonia, going through difficult terrain in foreign countries, the South American Darien Gaps and other places to get here. We have to take that into account. We know if we do play our part and we play it well and play it judiciously, we will free our country. And again, that freedom is not free in the sense that we have to pay for it in a way, because if you are using services or you are using products to achieve this goal, those products and services are not free. That they have to pay for them. And that is where we are calling on all Ambazonians everywhere in the world to do their best so that we can get our freedom and have at least finally have our happiness, have the development that we need for our own country. Education for our children, good roads, electricity, and other amenities that come with a well-run country like healthcare. Those are the kind of things that we have to think about when we fight for our freedom. Thanks.
Absolutely. Again, ladies and gentlemen, the phone line is open. Go ahead and call. I'd like to hear what you think about this subject, especially those of you who are watching from where we call Ground Zero. But if you are anywhere in the diaspora and you would like to contribute, the phone line is open. Go ahead and call. Let us know what is on your mind, hearing that Donald Trump is about recognizing the independence of Somaliland, the independence of Somaliland. And the Honorable Vice Chair of the Restoration Council, Chris Ajua, is here with me. And let me ask you, there are only two needs, two things, two fronts in this struggle for independence. And the first front is action on the ground. And the other front is diplomacy. Is it possible to have action or maintain action on the ground without funds? Is it possible to carry out effective diplomacy without funds?
Definitely not, Comrade Chris. Everything that we achieve in life entails some kind of expense, and that goes with defense. We remember also that we are fighting a good cause, and if we are defending ourselves and it's a good cause, Ambazonians should feel free to support that defense. It's not a crime to defend yourself when you are attacked, when your country is annexed, when your country is colonized, when your people are being killed, innocent people are being killed, when the enemy has a policy of a scorched earth policy, where they burn villages, burn hospitals and schools. They kill indiscriminately, including children, like baby Martha, old grandmothers like Mami Pauline Api. When they kill people like that, earlier you had mentioned atrocities in places like Pinyin, in Bali, in Gabu, all over Ambazonia, all the crimes that French Cameroon has committed. When the United Nations had the human rights event in Geneva and invited French Cameroon, that is a good start. But just talking about human rights and finding out who committed human rights without going to the root causes of the problem is not enough. I think the next step is they should go to the root causes of the problem and solve and get the problem resolved once and for all. They cannot allow people to keep dying, the war to continue going on. Many lives have been ruined. I always calculate the lives ruined beginning from September 30th, 1961. If you calculate the number of generations and even the population of Ambazonians that have had their lives messed up, their lives ruined because of the activities of French Cameroon, they can never even ever pay us back. Even if it was a reparation, they don't even have the resources to pay us back. They don't. But
all right,
our people,
you hold on for a second.
Sure.
Let's get to this caller and get back to you. Hello.
Yeah, hello, Secretary Chris, comrade.
Hello, sir. This must be Dr. Metuge.
Yeah.
All right. What is on your mind, sir? Calling in from London, right?
Yeah, calling from London, yeah.
All
the
right.
issue is about, well, I have a message for the Kubeman about people as per the death of the DO who is being killed by
Okay.
the pirates, sure.
Okay.
So my message to them is this. They have always been talking about that one thing. A lot of Kubeman go, especially those Bakosi people. None of them is a lot of them are in the diaspora. So many of them in the diaspora. I think when we will get back home and they have to pay, I'm sure the revenue they will realize from those in the diaspora contributing their tax will be the, I think, surely to have the highest.
Okay.
Yeah, the highest. So many people, but none of them are folding their hand. So this is a message to them that, and they should see what is happening. The government has abandoned their own son to be killed. If it was La Republic agent or son or daughter, they would have come in to rescue him.
Oh,
But
this
they have
guy,
not rescued their own
this guy is
their own son.
this guy is from Kupe Manugoba.
Yes, from Kupe Manengoba.
Oh yeah, Ewane. Ewane is Bakosi name, right?
Because
Yeah. Okay.
yeah. So my message goes thus that they should get up. Because they have a saying in Kupe Manengoba that when the hunter goes to the bush and kills an elephant, and they come back to announce that they should go and butcher the elephant, everybody, all men go to the bush far off, because in those days, the elephants were killed far off the forest, right into the forest. So men, tough men, every man will go there. So men who refuse to go and they stay in the village, when those who have gone to the butchering comes back and they start begging for meat, they give them the bones to eat. They give them bones of the elephant to eat, or the skin. So difficult to cook. So tomorrow, if Ambazonia will be given, or they will realize Ambazonia, that is what they are going to have to. They should know this. And it's one of their saying in their own program. Yeah. So I want to call on them to take a lesson, to learn from this, what is happening today, what has just happened to their own son, the one person who has been killed. The government has abandoned them. So they should sit up and join the fence and stop sitting on the fence and watching.
All right.
So that is my message to them.
All right. Thank you, sir.
And
Thank
about,
you.
because, okay. All right, let me leave it there. Maybe I'll come back later.
All right. Thank you for the call.
Really appreciate your comments. Really appreciate your comment, Dr. Mituge. That was very enlightening. Thank you.
Wonderful. All right. The phone line is still open. Go ahead and call. Let's know what is on your mind. I will ask both of you, Chris and Patrick. We have at this moment in this struggle some people who are sitting by the fence and they just don't want to support. I think moments like this, especially when we see that there is hope, they should be considering their positions and thinking this is a moment to support this struggle. Patrick, please, what would you say to those who are on the fence?
Well, Comrade Chris, I have said this before on this show and other media platforms. When I look at some Ambazonians who sit back and look at the killing and act like they are blind, it means they should just join La Republique against Ambazonia. Because if you are in the United States, Europe, if you are out of that country and you cannot get up one day and say, I'm going to give $20, $50, $100 to the restoration forces just to support them so that they can even save one life in my territory, in my country, then I don't understand how you even call yourself Ambazonians. And one thing that is very funny is the fact that most Ambazonians who are out here today have taken advantage of the fact that because of the war, so many families are doing everything they can to send their young kids out of the country using all the back roads and whatever means they have. And to do that, they are selling land, selling houses, selling everything. Some of the few Ambazonians who are here are buying those land. They are buying these properties at very good prices just because people want to send their children away so that they don't get killed. But if you are doing this and you cannot get up and ask When am I even going to use this piece of land that I'm buying? Are you going to go to that same country? Are you going to go back there and sit there and La Republic determines when you have electricity, when you have water in your house, and when you are even able to drive on a road to get to your own home? Then it's a shame that any Ambazonia is sitting on the fence waiting. But one thing that we as Ambazonians are very fond of doing is castigating others. Sometimes when I look on social media or other platforms, I see other Ambazonians calling other school plotters, blacklegs, everything. They can do whatever they want to do, but at the end of the day, the Ambazonian revolution will only succeed if every single Ambazonian should come together, sit on the table, and ask, what direction should we take? Because there is no way you can be going somewhere, there are 10 of you, everybody is taking a different route, and expect to get to the same destination at the same time. If we are not planning to go on the same direction, then we are planning to fail. Ambazonia should all come together, should all reflect. What am I giving up? Am I giving up my position for the sake of Ambazonia? Am I giving up my so-called friendship for the sake of Ambazonia? If you don't do that, then you are not doing yourself justice. You are not doing yourself any good. Because when we started this struggle, we knew that Ambazonians, with the education that they have acquired, with the knowledge, will make sure they don't do the same thing that other revolutions have done. There's no reason for Ambazonians to sit there and support wrongdoings in a revolution. But on the other hand, Ambazonians cannot be divided at this level because they want to follow friendship and brotherhood just to keep themselves in a small corner because they think if they lose that power, they are not going to be relevant. Nobody is relevant in the Amazonian Revolution, and nobody is less relevant in the Amazonian Revolution. We are all fighting the same fight. Nobody is being paid. Nobody has the right over any other person within the Amazonian structure right now. Let's fight as one. Let's get on board. If you are sitting on the fence, join your brothers so that we can all move together and make sure Ambazonia is a reality for all of us and the children that we are bringing up today.
Thank you, sir. That is a great round up. I will give Chairman Chris 1 minute to round this up, and we'll call it a night.
Yes, Comrade Chris. Correction, Vice Chair of the RC. Well, we have coming to the end of the show. We have discussed a lot of topics, ranging from the abduction or kidnapping of a fellow Ambazonian and who was murdered. We have discussed how Nigeria did not play its part as a country to get to the terrorists and have our Ambazonian citizen, released. We have discussed matters having to do with, by the way, our heartfelt condolences, sympathy, prayers go to the family of the DO, Roland Aan. May God grant his family moral support, give them the strength at this difficult time to withstand this atrocity that has happened to their family and to the Ambazonian family as a whole. We have also discussed matters having to do with the upcoming recognition of Somaliland by President-elect Donald Trump. We are hoping that the process goes very smoothly. We are also hoping that President-elect Trump, working with his proposed Secretary of State, Mr. Marco Rubio, hoping that they also will take up the matter of Ambazonia wholeheartedly and fully, not only within the government, but all the way to the UN General Assembly and the UN Security Council, following the good news we are hearing about Somaliland. And as Ambazonians, we are happy for Somaliland, and we congratulate them for the upcoming good news. And we also thank them for running a country for this long in a very judicious way, in a very democratic manner. And there are a lot of things Ambazonia can learn from Somaliland. As far as Ambazonians are concerned, concerning our struggle, we encourage all Ambazonians, no matter where you are, to think about defending Ambazonia, either from the point of view of defense with our restoration forces, or on a diplomatic level, or on a social level concerning refugees, the internally displaced, and other people that find themselves in difficult situations because of the war, the colonization and the annexation of our territory. And we pray to God to grant Ambazonia peace through justice. Peace through justice. We pray to God to grant Ambazonia peace through justice. Thank you all.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for being part of the broadcast tonight. You have a great, should I say afternoon or evening? In Ambazonia, it is evening. In Washington, D.C., it is afternoon. Good afternoon. Thank you for joining. Before I go, I'd just like to remind our listeners, you can find breaking daily news on our website, absafricatv.com. That is where you will find daily breaking news coming to you. Whether we are here, I am here or not, the website will bring you latest developments from Ambazonia, from Cameroon, from Africa, from across the globe. And we are able to do that because we are recruiting freelance reporters from all over the place. If you are a graduate, a university graduate, and you can write, it doesn't matter where you find yourself, in any village, in any town, city, we encourage you, if you're interested in being a reporter, writing for ABS, send me a message on WhatsApp using that number on the screen, and I will discuss that out with you. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, again for tuning in. I look forward to being back here next week. Next week, not this week. You have a great night, and God bless you all.